okay, God. But then they come back and they go back to their old ways. And it's like, and then it makes you like, what? Then it makes you think. And then it makes you self doubt yourself. And then you're like, wait a minute, what just happened here? Again, allowing yourself for that person to take your power again.
Mhm.
They showed you who they were. You're refusing to believe it and see
Yeah,
it.
yeah. A lot of times, I think some people get stuck because of expectations also of their parents or their friends. Because
Hmm.
if they say that they want a divorce, that judgment that they're gonna get from their parents or
Hmm.
their friends, they don't want to deal with that. And
Right.
so instead they'll just stay in that unhappy ass relationship and and just never move forward basically. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the I think that's the worst part. The ones that stay in it for other people.
Hmm.
You know what I'm Hey, welcome to the BeMoHappy Show, the podcast that's all about boosting your happiness and helping you navigate life's challenges. I'm your host, Morris Mo Chasson, and I'm excited that you're here and being a part of this new season, Resilience Revolution. We'll be deep diving into the power of resilience, the ability to bounce back from setbacks, adapt to change, and thrive in the face of adversity. It's time to embrace challenges as opportunities for growth and unlock your inner strength. We will be joined by experts, thought leaders, and everyday heroes who have faced life's curveballs head on and came out stronger. Together, we'll explore practical strategies, share inspiring stories, and equip you with tools not just to survive, but to thrive in the midst of life's storms. So whether you're going through a tough time, seeking personal growth, or just looking for a daily dose of inspiration, join us in Resilience Revolution. Get ready for a season of empowerment, insight, and a whole lot of joy. This is the BeMoHappy Show. The Resilience Revolution starts now. Yes.
Yeah.
So what were we saying about the energy healing and
Yeah.
feeling exhausted and all that good stuff?
Yes. So energy work. I have this I know this lady who was part of my journey on my growth process
Is she
of
a
what I've
local
been through.
lady, Miss
She is
Alicia?
local now. Yes.
Okay.
Her name is Kim Blanchard. She has a company called Body Clay. And so she's a massage therapist, but she does also a lot of energy work. And she has worked with John Amaral. Have you heard of John Amaral?
No, I haven't.
So he actually came out on an episode on The Goop on Netflix with Gwyneth Paltrow. And so she studied with him a lot. So Kim, my friend Kim, has studied with him. That's how she got all her training in energy work. And
Gotcha.
so she was also part of my life coach. I've known her for many, many years, and then she's studied energy work. And so then I started doing energy work with her as well. And so she is local. She's lived in Virginia and, several places, Atlanta, but she is originally from Homa. And so
Nice.
I think she would be a great person to have on your podcast, as she's so knowledgeable.
Yeah,
So,
I love the whole energy talk stuff because I don't think enough people are aware of energy and the importance of it and how yeah, just how energy is everything. Like energy is truly the most valuable thing that we have.
oh, absolutely. For example, I'm also reading, have you heard of Dr. Joe Dispenza?
Uh-huh. Absolutely.
Okay.
Hmm.
So I'm reading one of his books right now,
Which
and
one?
Becoming Supernatural.
Oh yeah. Have you read
Yes. Yeah.
Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, where you went straight to Supernatural?
I went straight to Supernatural.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I went straight there.
That's cool.
Only because, part of my journey, not only has been energy work and life coach and uh, just my healing process and everything that I've been through in life, didn't just start from just a life coach. It's been just a constant process. It's been therapists, it's been a life coach, it's been reading books, it's been a constant growth mindset for me.
Yeah.
Um, because
That's
I
the beautiful
decided,
part.
yeah, well, a lot of times we can stay stuck where we're at.
Mm-hmm.
And we can make a choice. Once you make that choice, you make a decision and you move forward from it, or you can stay stuck
Mm-hmm.
where where you were.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I had to do for myself in order to be a better mother for my children was to work on myself.
Oh man, I wish every parent but I guess we don't know. I mean, whenever we're young and having kids, the effects that our communication has on our kids. I remember me myself always asking my kids, "Why are you doing it that way? What is wrong with you?"
Mm-hmm.
And now
Yes.
now that they're older and I've done the work on myself, I see what that has done to their own self-belief in themselves, because now they doubt themselves a lot because internally they go back to that time where I question, why are you doing it that way? And I hate I hate that happened, and I hate that it's like that for
Yeah.
them. It hurts my heart. But I
Right.
talk to him, I apologize to him, and hey, look, I realized what I did now. I know I fucked
Yeah.
up and I want to
Yeah.
make this better. And you're amazing. Don't ever question yourself. So,
Right.
but
Well, you're only repeating the pattern of what you were taught.
yeah,
We're not,
facts.
and just like our parents, they raised us and they didn't, none of us are born with this manual of how to be a parent, how to be a
Right.
mom, how to be a father, how to make the right choices. You, this whole thing of everybody gets married and then you have children and then you go through this life and you go into autopilot and you just in survival mode and you are just trying to make things happen left and
Mm-hmm.
right, here, there, and everywhere.
Yeah,
And,
facts.
we are not born with things. Every circumstance is different,
Mm-hmm.
everything. And everybody is born with some kind of problem in their life or they're in some kind of problem, but a lot of times they're not dealt with.
Mm-hmm.
And when you suppress all those problems and you don't deal with them, sometimes those patterns continue to repeat themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And so, in my experience, I know we've spoken a little bit about my foundation of why it was established, but the model for it was helping women find a way back to themselves after a life-changing event. Because in my case, I know for me, and a lot of women have experienced this too, you're a mom, you go to work, you have your children, you bring them to sports, dancing, uh, whatever they're in, you make things happen for everybody else, and
Mm-hmm.
you try to be the wife, you try to be the mom, you try to take care of the home, you try to take care of the outside of the home. You, in essence, become the CEO, the CFO, the landscaper, the housekeeper, the project manager, the supply chain manager. You are everything in that family.
Mm-hmm.
You are the core, and the woman loses herself. And so if you don't figure out where you're at, then you're all that tends to trickle down to your children.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a ripple effect, kind of like whenever you throw a
Mhm.
rock into the ocean, right? Where, like it like that. And it's the
Yes.
same thing with, healing ourselves and, moving forward. Like we just don't heal ourselves. We heal everybody else not heal everybody else, but we make a big impact on everybody around us, basically. Right.
Right.
So,
Yeah. Well, that pebble can have a positive or a negative ripple effect.
mm-hmm.
It's either or.
Mm-hmm.
Nonetheless, you're going to have a ripple effect.
Yeah.
And so how you decide to throw that rock into that water is you can decide if you want to do it in a positive way or if you want to do it in a negative way. But a lot of times we don't really even know that we're doing it in a negative way because we're just on autopilot.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
just surviving
Mm-hmm.
and you're under a lot of stress and your kids and homework and getting them to practice and getting them to games and your weekends aren't your weekends because
Yeah.
you're at a soccer game, a baseball game, a football game. You are somewhere still continuing on from the practice that you did during the week.
Mm-hmm. I was
So,
last week I recorded a podcast with Lillian Hernandez, an amazing
Hmm.
episode. And we were talking about how sometimes some people never really do that internal work and like learn who they are and discover their purpose in life and stuff.
Hmm.
And I remember back for myself, the reason was just like you said, you're just constantly thinking about surviving and making ends
Hmm.
meet basically and just doing life. And
Right.
you never get time to think. You never get time to heal things within yourself because you're constantly going and trying to make shit happen, make shit work. And
Right.
at least that was my case, so.
Yeah. Well, I think it happens in a lot of cases. A lot of people go through that. A lot of people go through the same thing, just like pain. A lot of people experience pain, and
Mm-hmm.
it might be different than yours. You may not have experienced the same kind of pain that I did, but you might know somebody who did.
Mm-hmm.
Um, or that person might know someone else. And so, you have to get to a point to where, you have to find the value in everything that you do. And you have to ask yourself the why. You know, why do you work out? You work out because you want to feel good about yourself. You want to make sure that you stay younger. You want to look good. It's better for your body. It's better for your muscles, better for your bones. You eat right because it correlates with you working out. And then also, you want to be healthy. You don't want to have diabetes. You don't want to have high cholesterol. So you do everything to try to fix yourself on those type of things because it's external, it's tangible. You can see the results. The one thing that you can't see a lot of times is what's inside of you. And so taking a good look in the mirror and asking yourself the question of why? And what I have also learned that as whether you're a mom or a dad or whomever you may be, if you don't see the value in yourself, others won't see that same value.
Mm-hmm.
And so then that's when, I've heard you say this before because I listened to some of your podcasts, and a lot of the individuals that you've had on there have discussed boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
And it's huge. It's huge. And it might be overused these days as far as boundaries are concerned because they're not using them correctly, using that word.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I know for your self worth, you have to figure out what your boundaries are to make yourself feel good and expect other people to respect you for those boundaries.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
That boundaries is a big thing. I think it's hard for even for me, like whenever I first started setting boundaries, it was the issue for me because I was that person that was like a people pleaser and just loves to help people, right?
sure.
But putting it into that people pleasing is satisfaction in a sense because those people that you were doing for and making accommodations for, they get pissed off and they get
Hmm.
frustrated and even sometimes to the point where they want to argue with you about it,
Right.
and I'm like, man, like, bro, like I'm setting boundaries and trying to protect
Mm,
my peace, you know what I mean? And you're gonna get mad at
right.
me, like,
Right.
and that's
Well,
whenever you find, who is with you and who is just there for what you could do for them, basically, you know.
oh, absolutely. Well, in boundaries, if people don't respect your boundaries, they are not in it for your best interests. They're
Hmm.
only in it for their own selfish needs.
Absolutely.
And so, and a lot of people have used the word respect in the place of boundaries. You need to respect how I feel. You need to respect what I'm doing. You need to respect everything. Everybody can use that word, but they don't actually mean it, and then, we talked about happiness. Your show is called Be More Happy
Hmm.
Show. But people, what is happiness to people? And they can buy everything that they want. It still won't make them happy. They can have everything in the world. It still won't make them happy.
True.
You know, you can have it made and you won't be happy unless you fix what's inside in your heart. And it
Hmm.
really comes from the core.
Hmm. That is so true. There's have you ever heard the books Psycho Cybernetics by Maxwell Maltz by chance?
No, I haven't. But you're
So
mentioning a lot of good books that I'm gonna have to add to my list.
yeah, Maxwell Maltz, he basically talks about the self image, and that whole book
Hmm.
is about self image. What it is, he was actually a plastic surgeon at one point, and then he's seen the effects of doing these surgeries on these people, but it still didn't fix their inside because
Hmm.
you fix the outside, do whatever you want to the outside, but that inside is still broken. You still got something, that void, something on the inside that needs to be healed. And it's so true. Like you can have everything in the world, like all the money, all the cars, but you can still be a sad, depressed person. It's wild, but that's how it is.
Well, it's how it
That internal
is,
work.
but you have to be aware of it. And a lot of times those unhappy people will cast the blame on other people just because they don't want to reflect. I mentioned looking at yourself in the mirror and holding yourself accountable for the things that you say and the things that you do.
Mm-hmm.
You hold yourself responsible. You're responsible for your own actions, not
Right.
someone else. Because it's easy to pass the blame on anybody else just so that you don't have to fix what's going on within you.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
You know,
That's the first step, is recognizing that it's not their fault. You know what I'm saying? It's your fault.
right,
You know what I mean?
correct,
Like,
right.
no matter what, like your response to negativity or your triggers, oh, he made
Mhm,
me so mad. No, he
mhm.
didn't.
Yeah,
You allowed him to control your emotions. You relinquish your control to somebody else.
absolutely. I, and I
And
was
it
that
happens.
person.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah, me
I
too,
was. I
100%.
was. I was that person where I was. Things that people would say or things that people would do would affect me.
Mm-hmm.
But ultimately, it wasn't what everybody else was saying and doing. It's how I was feeling on the inside. And it was because I was just trying to hold my head up against above water,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And even though they were trying to tell me and show me, I couldn't actually see it until I was out of that whole environment.
Mm-hmm.
So once I was removed myself from that whole environment, I started to see clearly, but it wasn't just me sitting at home, it just miraculously came from to me. Like all of a sudden I had this revelation and I was I was healed. No.
No,
It took
it's
it
a
took
process.
therapy.
Yeah.
It took a life coach. It took reading. It took surrounding myself with an amazing group of friends. I have amazing friends right now that, you know, the whole saying is, what's that saying that people say, you are who you surround yourself with.
Oh yeah.
Choose your friends wisely.
Mm-hmm.
Because you will have friends that can bring you down or they can elevate you, who are going
Mm-hmm.
to be by your side, who are going to be your biggest cheerleaders, regardless if you screw up or not. They're going
Yeah.
to be by your side and who are going to support you.
Mm-hmm.
And so, um, when you go through a lot of pain and you have that support system next to you with all the growth that you do, by educating yourself to get past that hill and be a better person, you always remember, okay, who were those people that were there by my side when you were crying home at night, for nights and days, miserable, not knowing where your life was going to go, or not knowing what direction, or if you could even do life without that person that you were with.
Mm-hmm.
And then once you get that power back to yourself, then you say, you know what, I can do this. I can do this without that person or with those people or without that job or without that relationship. I can do this.
Mm-hmm.
When you rediscover who you are. So it's
Yeah.
a it's a constant struggle because the dark night of the soul always comes back, try to, bring you back down.
That's cool.
It,
That you know about the dark night of the soul.
oh
That's
yes.
cool.
I experience it every now and then. Every now and then when I'm feeling great, and then something will come in and just try to set me back or set me and my family back. Um, there's things that are said, things that are done, things that are posted to try to take us off of the path.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to keep in mind that they're doing it for their own self-satisfaction. Those are not healed people. Those are
Yeah.
people with traumatic that need to put things out to make you feel bad. Those are not the kind of people that you want to surround yourself with.
Mm-hmm.
So you just remove them from your life. You're just like, okay, they're a click away from your life. Unfollow, done.
100%. And
Yeah,
it's really that easy. I've done it so many times. I won't delete anybody, but I'll snooze for 30 days. And
yeah,
then once they start coming back in my feed, it's like, fuck, here we go again. Pop, I'll snooze again, you know? And I mean, I just keep
absolutely.
snoozing. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. Hey, and you know what? Look, we're not all perfect.
No.
Um, we're all sinners.
Mm-hmm.
We all make mistakes.
Absolutely.
And it's what you do with those mistakes that sets you apart from other people.
Yeah.
You have to choose to say, I will not live this life anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I won't let anyone affect me because I'm a healed person now. And
Yeah.
if that's what you choose to do, well, then you go ahead and you do it, but you won't do it in my space.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
It's the,
done.
yeah, I think, I guess your response to negativity is the most important thing, you know? It's sure we can see all that negative stuff but if we let it consume us or let it like trigger us in any kind of way, you know, I like to look at it as like, what the hell do I need to learn from this? You know what I'm saying? Like, what is this supposed to be teaching me? Because, I think that's kind of like the purpose sometimes of those negative emotions is to teach something, either that or, sometimes it's just that fight or flight mode that tries to keep us safe and protected. But yeah, there's always to learn something, I believe, you know?
Well, our whole life is a lesson.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Your whole life is a lesson. You can decide to learn from it, or you could decide to stay stuck in it.
Mm-hmm.
And I choose happiness. I made a decision a long time ago from my life coach. You can choose joy, peace, and happiness. And that's exactly what I focused on. I wrote it, I typed it out, I put it wherever I was at, and I had to self reflect on what brought me joy, what brought me peace, what brought me happiness. Um, I have journaled probably my entire life,
Really?
but oh yeah,
That's nice. My first journal entry was October 1st of 2020. Yeah, 2020. That was first.
2020.
Yep, that's the first
Okay.
time I journaled, and I had no clue on how to journal, where to start with journaling. I just started journaling, but eventually I
Yeah.
found out that what helped me was journaling about my interactions throughout the day and my feelings and my
Hmm.
emotions throughout the day and what I felt, and basically what I could learn from those interactions or experiences that I had, circumstances, whatever, you know what I mean, whatever made me feel a certain type of way, like I always wanted to learn from it. So that's
Absolutely.
how I
Well,
did it.
I've journaled for a long time, but I never realized I was journaling.
Yeah.
Even as a child, I didn't know what I was doing. And I would journal, and then I wouldn't do it for years, and then I would start doing it again, and then I would start journaling again. In the past, I want to say 7 years, I have been consistent on journaling. I have so many journal books. Some were a very dark moment in my life that I choose to burn those journals because I felt like that was a part of me that no longer existed.
That's nice. Part of
And
letting
so
go. Yeah,
it was a
releasing the
part
old.
of letting go. It was a part of me healing. And
Hmm.
so one day I made this conscious decision and I said, I must have burned, I want to say about 6 journals.
Wow.
And because you could see the hurt of the writing in those pages.
Mm.
You could see because my handwriting changes on how I felt. And sometimes they were writings of disgust. Sometimes it was writings of a very hurt woman. It was sometimes those writings were anger. And that was a huge eye opener for me when I went back and read all these entries. And I said, wow, I don't want to relive this life. And so I literally got the journals, sat outside on my fireplace, lit it up, and just tore out all the sheets and threw them in there. And with my glass of wine, and just it was kind of like a cleansing for me.
Yeah.
And so once I did it, I started over. I continued to journal. And I still do. And sometimes I'll journal, like as you stated, what happened that day, an event, something that affected me, and what I was going to move forward. But what I try to explain to people is that journaling is not just so that you could have a tally of what you've done. It's a way of saying how you feel to yourself and releasing it and moving forward.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's part of taking it out of here, putting it onto there, and then releasing it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's one. That's
Yeah.
I think that's the best part about journaling.
Oh,
Truly,
oh,
is that
I've
release.
journaled, right. I've journaled, I've written letters. I've written letters that I've never sent, of how I felt about certain people. And then I burned them because I was done. And part of also that, it was about, through my pain of many different circumstances that have happened in my life. I've been divorced. That was very traumatic and hurtful for me after being with this man for over 20 years and building an amazing life of what I thought was an amazing life. Having that pain and then having the pain of right after that, losing my nephew, the year after that. Then the next year, I lose my brother. Then the following year, well, that same year, my sister gets diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. Thank goodness she's in remission. Then the following year, I lose another sibling. So it was
Damn.
constant pain over and over and over and over again that I've had to deal with. You go through the stages of the grief, the anger, the shock, the denial, the bargaining, all of the stages that you go through. And then you finally get to the acceptance part. And when you get to that acceptance part, that's part of where the forgiveness comes in. And it's not a forgiveness of saying, okay, I forgive you and I forgot everything. It's a forgiveness for yourself so that you can move forward. And I think a lot of people get that confused because, we're taught to, oh, you got to forgive, and, got to forgive. And a lot of people get that confused of, you got to forgive so that person can feel better or whatever the situation is, but it's not. That forgiveness is for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And once you forgive that person or that thing or that entity, whatever it was, it's a release like you can't imagine. You're able to move forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Well,
Yeah.
I understand that wholeheartedly because I was pissed off when my mom first passed away in
Mm-hmm.
2017. I was mad. I went through the stages, and ended
Yeah.
up, healing myself through a meditation where I kind of communicated with her, and she pretty much said, I was mad at myself because I wasn't there when she passed away, right, at the hospital. Typically,
Mm-hmm.
I was always the one that was at the hospital with my mother. So, but that time, I had to go to work the next day. I had to meal prep that night. So I had
Mm-hmm.
all those things in my mind. And she was like, go home, I'm good. I'm going to be fine, So, and we made plans for the weekend and stuff. And I told her I was going to be back that night. And that morning I got that call, said they pretty much said, we need you to come to the hospital as soon as possible. Your mom just took a turn for the worse. So I was like, okay, I'm coming. So I went
Mm-hmm.
there, she had already passed away, and I didn't even know it, did not know it. So
Yeah.
she was in the bed, sitting up with no machines on. I was like, oh man, she's doing better. Like she's she has no machines on her, you know,
Right.
and
Yeah.
but I guess I was in that in denial type stage, and my wife
Hmm.
was with me, and she knew what was happening, but you know, of course, she's not going to say it to me.
Right.
So, anyways, I pretty much healed myself through a meditation where she basically died of esophageal bleed or something like that. So she was
Hmm.
probably like choking up on her blood and stuff. So she pretty much, you know, kind of said that it was the best that I wasn't there because, you know, I would have probably been scarred with that memory of
Right.
seeing her choking, you know. So yeah, it
Yeah.
was good. It was good. So after that, now I feel like I I don't know if I can grieve now.
Yeah.
I don't
Wh-
want to. You know what I'm saying? I pretty much reject it. I feel like I understand that like everybody comes here for a short time,
hmm
and then whenever their time is their time, it doesn't. I can't be mad at it. You know, it's part of life.
No.
It's expected. So yeah.
You know, the terminology of life is short. Life really is short. And the
Mm-hmm.
older you get, the more prominent that statement is.
Oh boy.
Um, you know,
Mm-hmm.
you you see so many people, you're more aware. You know, when you're younger, you don't pay much attention to people passing away or people having cancer, or people having certain ailments or just whatever the situation. You're not aware of it because you're young and you're just living in your own little world. But as you get older, you become more aware, and the people that you're close to start to trickle off and they start to pass away. And like I said, I've had multiple deaths from year to year, and multiple situations happen every single year that I started to put myself in that autopilot mode and saying, okay, here we go again. And again, here's that grief. And, but I've always been that type of black and white person to whereas what you see is what you get. There has never been a gray area with me. So when certain things have happened, like say, you know, the death of whomever in my family or a situation in my family, I, I go into autopilot. Okay, what do we need to do? How do we need to get? What do we need to do right now to get past this point?
Mm-hmm.
You know, my last sibling who passed away, she was in hospice and she lasted for quite some time, and I was with her every single day. You know, one of the things that my other sister and my brother-in-laws and, you know, other people would ask me is, how can you go there every single day? Like I said goodbye to her and I said, because I can. It's just, it doesn't bother me. I'm okay with being with her.
Mm-hmm.
And so I knew she was dying. I knew she was going to die. I knew all that. I had already prepared myself.
Mm-hmm.
And so you've come to that acceptance phase. You accept the fact of what has happened. You move forward from it. You can't keep beating yourself up for something that someone else did or where they're at or what happened to them, because that doesn't move you forward.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've had to really recognize a lot of things that have happened in regards to a death, a divorce, a sickness, whatever life-changing event. I have looked at the scenario and said, okay, well, what are you going to do to move forward? And you have to also ask yourself, how is that affecting me and why is it affecting me?
Mm-hmm.
And how can I move forward from this? And you take those steps. But staying stuck in it and repeating the same thing in the same cycle just keeps you going in circles. You get nowhere.
Would do you believe that whenever you ask those questions, you get the right answer, but sometimes you want to reject it because like, fuck, that's hard. I don't want to do that. Or is it you think some people never get those answers because they just not really that connected as
Well,
far
I
as like,
think I think it takes for you to be connected with yourself and in your beliefs
mm-hmm.
in order for you to to understand what those voices and what those answers are.
Gotcha.
Once you are connected with yourself and you ask yourself those questions and you know what's working, what's not working. Like for myself, I have to ask, okay, that's not working for me anymore. I talk to this particular person or I talk to this one person, their comments, their attitude, I just don't want to deal with them anymore. Why? Because it's not working for me. Why? Because remember, I chose joy, peace, and happiness.
Mm-hmm.
They're not bringing that to me. That's not a part of my scenario. Guess what? The least that I can interact with that person, the better off I am. And once you start working on yourself, on your own self-conscious, and here we go with that energy work, and you start really, really healing, you don't have to talk to a person much. You can feel their energy.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
You
Facts.
know,
Yeah. Energy says it all. And it's
yeah,
not the words, actions, all that.
yeah.
You
Well,
don't need it really.
words and actions. People can use their words all day long to tell you what they're going to do, how they're going to do it, that they will do it, that they will make a change, that they will do something differently. But their actions always prove your words either right or they're wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So you can tell somebody and paint this pretty picture of how you want to be different, but your actions are a true reflection of what you really mean.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And
So,
it's a lot of times, yeah, that's tough. So I want to ask you a question about the supernatural book. So
hmm
have you finished it yet, or you're
not yet. No,
okay?
no.
Uh, the main thing I remember about that book, I think it was like the first or the second chapter where he was talking about the studies they'd done on, I think 2001 around the Trade Center stuff. Uh, what's that? The 9/11 stuff. But like they
Yes.
did studies on the energy of the whole earth and basically how I guess all the saddened people basically lowered the frequency of the whole earth. Do you remember that part in that book?
Yes. I remember a snippet of it, but I do remember the chapter. So right now I'm on the blessings of the energy. So blessings of the chakras.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So, but I do know what you're talking about as far as their energy, because it's true. When your energy is high, it's contagious.
Mm-hmm.
But when your energy is low, it can also be contagious to those people who also are on that low frequency.
Right.
And it all goes back to who you surround yourself with. And so you can go and hang around with people, and if their energy is high, you're having a good time, everybody's energy is high, you're like, okay, I feel good. Then you come back, but then you have that one person that comes in, you call them the Debbie Downers, and you're like, oh, yeah, thank you for bringing me down. I don't need this right now. And so, but he does a really good job. Dr. Joe Dispenza does a really good job on explaining how those energies operate within you, but you have to activate them.
Mm-hmm.
And so once you activate them, it's a section in your body that I never really realized this in our own. I thought we're just a human being. How could we have all this energy? How do we even how does this even
Yeah.
work? But since being a part of meditations, I meditate every morning. I wake up at 5 most of the time. Some days I slack a little, but most of the times I wake up at 5. I have a process. I say my rosary, I read the Bible, I meditate, and then I read a chapter of Dr. Joe Dispenza. That's my routine in the mornings. And then I go about my business. But if I don't have that time for myself to self-reflect and get my day started, I don't feel balanced.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like something's missing within me.
Yeah.
And so,
It's like your whole day's like a like a whirlwind kind of, right?
right, right.
Yeah.
And so I do the meditations, and I found that too, part of my healing is has had a lot to do with meditations as well. Um, because it helped also to bring me back to the childlike part of me,
Mm-hmm.
to resurface the woman that I am now.
Right.
Because I mean, I was a hurt child. I made choices. I made some bad decisions in my life, some that I'm proud of and some that I'm not proud of.
Mm-hmm.
But I also learned from them, and I chose not to make that same mistake again. And, part of it was through meditation. And whether you're meditating in prayer, whether you're meditating for healing, whatever your situation is, I felt that really to my core. And so now, pretty much, if I'm going to do a podcast, or if I'm going to do a speaking event, or if I'm going to coach a client, or whatever the situation is, I'm going into a meeting for a master service agreement, whatever the situation is, I find that I'll meditate prior to that event for everything that I do.
Yeah, absolutely. Helps to
Yeah,
clear your mind and makes you, present still,
correct,
Speaking
correct.
of, man, I seen your post the other day, and I wanted to go to your speaking engagement, but I think
Hmm.
you had posted it that Saturday morning. I was like, damn. And
Yeah.
I was so mad at myself because I wanted to be there because I want to see, see you in action. I
Hmm.
think it would have been cool to see you on stage talking. So how did that
Yeah.
go? How did that go, by the way?
It went well. It was this Saturday. Well, I had been posting it, but then some people, I just put that little last minute reminder about it. So Saturday was a very busy day. There was a lot of events. So we had 4 people that were there. But
Hmm.
of those 4 people, it was the people that needed to be there.
Yeah, yeah,
I was able to make some great connections, which I'm going to set up some coffee meetings with those individuals next week after Easter. And
nice.
so, honestly, in a gazillion years, I never would have thought that I'd be up front speaking about my life and my journey and my upbringings and how I got to where I'm at right now. Never.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
so, but it was easier than I thought. It was easier because the one thing that I told my sister was, it's easy to get up and talk about something when you're passionate about it.
Hmm.
It just comes naturally.
Yeah.
So it went in my eyes, it went well. Um, like I said, if I touched the people that were there, those are the ones that needed to be touched.
Hmm.
And it was a good experience for me. And hey, who knows where I'll be next?
Yeah. Look, it's that is. I love that. I think I want to go to one of those things or a couple of them, and kind of see how it's conducted and what people talk about and all that good stuff. Where I could eventually even speak at one of those things like that because I think it'll help me to get out that comfort zone and being able to speak. And because look, no lie, just speaking in general, I always felt like I sucked at it
Yeah,
terribly. So
yeah,
it's something I battle with and something I don't know, I guess I'm trying to heal from, and instead of telling myself you suck at talking, just shut
hmm,
up, I'll tell myself, dude, you're doing good, just keep going. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
So, but
yeah,
it's just trying to reframe that negative bias that you know I don't
yeah.
speak well. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, it's a
Oh,
journey. It's a
well,
journey.
you know what? A lot of the speakers in this world, um, they weren't born speakers. They practiced to the point to where they were. I prepared my PowerPoints, I prepared my notes, I
Hmm.
recorded myself saying the speech. Did I say everything that I wanted to say? No, but I had my little notes and I reflected on what I wanted, what was hitting. What I also know is when you're in it and when you're passionate about something, it's going to sound great because guess what? You're
You're
passionate
flowing.
about it. You
Yeah.
believe in it.
Hmm.
And so there's going to be something that's going to touch somebody. And so I think about when I was in college, when I first got my bachelor's, um, I, you take communications 101 and they make you do an impromptu speech. They're like, they give you this little, you got to pick a topic out of a hat and then you have to make an impromptu speech. And I remember I'm thinking, I can't do this in class. I don't know these people. What are they going to think about me? What are they going to say? Oh my gosh, what if I say something wrong? What if I sound stupid? Those were my whole thoughts
Oh yeah.
back, when I was younger. Fast forward now to my ripe age of, 25 again. I working on my master's. I completed my master's last year, but
Congratulations.
well, thank you, thank you. And so there was a lot of interactions this way, a lot of Zoom meetings, a lot of group conversations, a lot of group projects that we had to interact together a lot and rely on one another a lot. And so that also took me out of a comfort zone because I was communicating with people in Washington and in Oregon and Idaho, Texas. I met people, Michigan, from all over the place that were on these Zoom meetings. They don't know me and I don't know them. And so that got me a little bit more comfortable. And then I said, when I was asked to be a part of this Empower Her series at the library, it was, I said, sure, why not? And then I thought to myself, oh crap, how am I going to do this? How am I going to really do this again? Like, how am I going to do this? What am I going to talk about? So I set myself an outline. Every story has a point. And so if you have, I told myself I was going to speak for 45 minutes. So everything that I spoke about was divided into 10-minute increments. And so I just followed that path and stayed on the course. And so I developed my PowerPoint. I practiced it. I want to say twice. And then I said, I'm not stressing about this no more. It'll come. It's going to be fine. I'm
Yeah.
passionate about it. I believe in it. I know it. I know what my adversities were. I know what set me back. I know what I had to do to grow from it. Guess what? I got this. And I went in with confidence. It was great.
Did you
You
record it?
know, I didn't record that. No, I didn't
Oh
because I kind
man.
of was using my phone. And then I didn't have like a platform. I need to get me one of those little stands to where,
Tripod?
I can put little tripods I can record. And I wish I would have, but if I have the opportunity to speak again, I do want to record it.
Yeah.
I do.
It's good for content, and it's good for you to reflect back like, dang, I could have said this, I could have said that, you know what I mean? And then but I say that, but look, I have the podcast stuff and I don't ever listen to none of my stuff ever.
Yeah.
Like once I edit, I post it, put it on, and that's it. And
Yeah.
I know I probably should go back and listen to some of it. That way I could get better in speaking, because
Right.
I was whenever the first couple episodes, probably the first 20 episodes, I struggled with that word.
Hmm.
And now that word I think it transformed to like, but I think I'm finding that I'm using that word like a lot less now. So, it's all
Right.
part of finding those little weak spots and getting better with it, It's part of
Yeah.
growth.
Well,
Part of growth.
the words like and so and are they're little pausing points to help you
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
those little pausing points. And
Hmm.
so, but when you're up there speaking and you're passionate about it, you will be surprised once you get in a row, you're not going to say those kind of things.
Yeah.
You're just going to flow into it and you just keep moving and you just keep moving forward. And I taught in the public and private school spectrum many, many years ago and was in front of a classroom teaching kids and young kids, high school, some high school and some younger. And so you get used to being up there and you get into that routine. And so I thought of it as, okay, I'm up there teaching this course. I'm
Yeah.
up there. I'm in front
The class.
coaching a client.
Hmm.
That's what I'm doing. It's
Hmm.
it's just another person, and that's something that I tell my clients is, when they're having a situation with a certain person or a certain thing, I have to tell them they're just another person. They're equal just like you are. They're just somebody else. They're just another person.
Hmm.
So don't let their energy and their power take over yours.
Yeah, that's so true. that's something I learned over the past couple of years myself, because I would, somebody with a big title or something, kind of be
Mm-hmm.
intimidated in a sense a little bit. But then you're like, nah, we're all the same. At the end of the day, you catch this person, like behind the scenes or whatever, you'll see that y'all are more alike than you thought. You know what I mean? And it's because we're humans, right? So
Absolutely. Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. In my speaking event on this past Saturday was I never realized how many more people out there need to hear my story until I heard them tell me you need to continue to tell your story.
Oh, that's so cool. I love that.
And there was a lady there from the Women's Business Alliance, that she came in at the tail end, and she said, I'm coming in at the tail end of your presentation. She said, but I need you to be a part of this group. She said, because you need to continue to tell your story. And I said, oh, I appreciate that. And so I will join that, because I really truly believe that people come into your life when you need them the most. And
Absolutely.
so, as I mentioned, the people who were there Saturday, it's just a stepping stone for me to continue to tell the story and, put my foundation out there at the forefront for other women, to help them with their growth journey as well. Because I don't want to see them repeat the cycle, and I don't want to see their children repeat the same cycle. And so, everybody talks about generational traumas, but they don't know how to fix those generational traumas. And so there's a famous saying that a lot of people who don't want to deal with their traumas say, I'm not going to live in the past. I'm just moving forward. That's true to an extent. But if you keep repeating the same mistakes from your past, you're living in the past.
That is so true, because either you create or disintegrate. And if you're not going forward, you must be going the other way. That's the
That's
universal
correct.
law. Hmm.
Yeah. You can either upgrade your life or you can downgrade it.
Hmm.
And so you have to make a choice. And so ultimately, you have to say, okay, this is where I'm at in life. I have struggled with this so much in my life. So I'm not originally from Homa. I'm originally from Texas. I have lived here for almost 30 years now. So I guess I am from here now,
Hmm.
but I grew up in Texas. And so, living in an environment where you don't know anyone, and Homa is a small town. It's bigger than Morgan City, but smaller than New Orleans. So it's like, it's still considered small, where you know a lot of people. And so you get into this phase of where people think they know your story, and people think that they can tell you where you need to be and how you need to be, but they don't really know what you're about. And so speculation can set you back. And so I have the words of I'm not going to live in the past have always resonated to me, because it has always been told to me. I'm not living in the past. I'm moving forward. I'm moving forward. And that is true. I made the conscious decision of I'm not going to live in the past of my childhood, for one, the trauma that I experienced from my childhood, the pain that I have gone through from my childhood, and all that resurfaced again as an adult. Now that I'm in this phase of my life, I can honestly say I will not relive that part of my life. I'm going to choose the right person who's going to value, appreciate, and respect me. I'm going to set those boundaries to say we're going to be good for each other or we're not. And if that's the life that you choose, then that's where you stay. But this is where I'm moving forward.
Hmm.
And I'm okay with it, because I can respect you for that.
Hmm.
And so I find people, they say things, but they really don't mean them. They say that they're not going to do a certain thing, but they really are doing it unconsciously.
Hmm.
So, and it affects everybody that's around you.
Yeah. I see that a lot too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even,
Yeah.
like those people that always tell you they're going to be with you. And, anytime you need something, call them up or, you
Mhm.
call them up and they're like, man, I don't know, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Okay. I
Yeah.
got you.
Yeah.
I know where we stand now. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it's just be like that sometimes.
Or how about somebody who says, "Oh yeah, I'm going to do that for you. Oh yeah, look, I got that. Don't worry about it." And then you're sitting there waiting because they said they got it. And then they conveniently forget because they really didn't want to do it for you to begin with. But it's just like word vomit. It's just stuff just coming out of their mouth just to make them sound good
Yeah.
and look good,
Hmm.
but they really don't mean it.
Hmm. Yeah.
And so, talking about words and actions,
Yeah. That's true.
people can say all they want to make themselves look good, to make themselves feel good, but if you're not actually doing it, it's a reflection of who you are.
Hmm.
So, I mean, and a lot of people run from that. Instead of dealing with the situation, you can run. You can stay gone and not deal with it. And I used to be a runner. I used to run from all my emotions, from everything that I had to deal with in life. It was so much easier to just get away from it all. And now, when I get away, when I say, okay, I need a reset, I need to leave Homa, I need to get out of town. And it's just because I've been here too long, the energy is suppressing me, and I need to get out, reset myself. I'm out. I'm going to do something fun where nobody knows me, where I can just be me without any repercussions and just enjoy my life. Then I come back, I'm reset, I'm more energized. All right, then I'll be here for another month or two. And then I'll be like, okay, it's time for a trip. Where am I going this time?
Hmm.
And so, and I actually just had that conversation with one of my girlfriends. I said, okay, I'm looking at the dates. And she's like, okay, Ann. I said, it's going to be April 1st next week. And she's like, okay. She's like, and what does that mean? I said, it's time for a trip. It's time for me to go do something fun to reset myself. I come back more energized, a better person.
Hmm. Yeah.
Self-care.
Yeah. It's it's a stagnant energy here in Homewood, but
It is.
it's stagnant.
It's very stagnant. Yes.
Hmm. Whenever, like, it's crazy. I know whenever anytime you leave the state or Homa and you come back here, like it that energy kind of hits you and it almost sucks the life out of you in a sense.
Oh gosh. Do you know how many times that a lot of times I drive when I drive to go out of town, or if I go to Texas to go visit my family, I'll be there for an extended amount of time, whatever the reason. I'll be driving back into Homa and I'll say, oh, here we go. Good old Homa. Let's driving back to Homa.